I wanted to show you guys how I take care of my livestock and chickens during the coldest part of the winter season. I'm sitting in my car because I've been out taking care of animals. I've actually got my car pulled back around here by the shop so that I can break ice, and then if I get too cold, I get in the car and warm up a little bit and then go back again. Since it's just me here, I'm being super careful about the cold weather. There's no one here to help me if something goes wrong. There is no one here, even if I was out feeding and say Greg was in the house, maybe after a while he would begin to think, she's taking too long, I might go check on her. There's no one here for that. So I've got my car over here by the shop. This is where all the feed is. The water's frozen. The faucets are frozen. I did put covers on them last night, and I can't even turn them on. It's not that the pipe is frozen. The faucet itself is frozen. It is really cold. The wind is blowing, and so I don't even know what the real feel is, but it is cold outside. Yesterday was the first day of like a 5 or 6 day stretch of really cold temperature here in northeast Oklahoma. Although we have the 4 seasons and we get really cold winters, these next few days are going to be more extreme. These are going to be, we're not used to these temperatures. We're looking at getting into sub-zero temperatures, and that is not normal for this area. Some people have barns or sheds or just well-built structures to house their animals when the temperatures drop below freezing, but I have neither one of these. I don't have the big barns and I don't use the heaters. So I want to talk to you today about what I do to help my animals through these freezing temperatures. I would think that there are a lot of homesteaders who don't have the large barns or sheds to house their animals. I don't have any way of knowing this for sure, but I would think that a lot of you or a lot of homesteaders are like me and just have to rely on cheap, simple builds to provide shelter for your livestock. Now, I don't use any livestock water tank heaters or heat lamps or heaters of any kind in the shelters, and there are a couple of reasons for that. First of all is a safety concern. Where the power source is, where my outlets are in relations to where the shelters are or the water tanks are, is a long distance. And I don't want extension cords running from the outlets out to the water tanks or the shelters, because it would just be out there for the animals to get a hold of. I'm afraid that they would chew on them. Another concern is getting water around electricity when it snows or when it rains. I know that there are outdoor power cords. I need to sleep at night. Like I don't trust that. Okay, I want to show you here why I can't add a heater to the stock tanks on the cows. The cows' water is right here, and the closest outlet is by that back door out there, and that's quite a distance. And then of course the goats' water right there. That's a long distance to be running extension cords. You know, for me, I wouldn't be able to sleep like that. I know people do that, and there's nothing wrong. Your farm, you run it how you want. That's fine. And this is my farm, and this is how I'm going to run it. I know a lot of you disagree about it. A lot of people are for the water tank heaters and the electric cords running across the yard, the heat lamps and heaters. That's fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with other people doing it, but just for me to be able to sleep at night, this is the way that I have to do it. And I'll just come out and break ice in the morning. But you can see the goats. The goats are doing well this morning. They've eaten breakfast already. They have plenty of hay. And heat lamps, they can be extremely dangerous if you don't use them right. If you think about it, putting a hot lamp in a shelter where you feed hay and you're using straw for bedding. I mean, that's just a fire waiting to happen. It can be done. People do it. And it works well for them. You just got to be able to lift it up high enough to where it's not too close to the hay or bedding, and you've got to secure it properly so that it doesn't fall or that the animals don't knock it down. But there's another reason besides that I don't use heat lamps, and that's because animals have the natural ability to protect themselves somewhat from the cold. They grow more fur and they get fatter, and the fat insulates them. And I'm afraid that if I use heat lamps, they won't naturally prepare themselves for the cold. And so that would affect when they're in the shelter with the heat lamp, and then they keep going back outside out into the cold and coming back into the heat. Would it make them sick? I don't know. But beyond that is every winter power goes out somewhere. What if that power goes out at my place? And here I've gotten the birds used to heat lamps, and I've gotten the goats used to heat lamps, and then the power goes out, and then I'm not able to provide that heat for them, and their bodies haven't produced the fat and the fur that they would normally or naturally do if I hadn't put a heat lamp on them. Again, another way to help prevent that from happening, if you're going to use heat lamps, is to have a backup generator. I don't have that, and I have not ever lost an animal to the cold, not yet. I've not been doing this very long. I've been doing goats for 4 or 5 years, and I've been doing chickens for the same amount of time, and I've never lost a bird or a goat to the cold. Now that I've explained what I don't do, let me tell you what I do to help protect the animals through the cold. Although I don't have big barns or shelters for the animals, all the animals do have a shelter. The only exception to that would be the cows. They use the trees to kind of get out of the wind and things. But the goats have a shelter, and all the birds have a shelter. The dogs have a shelter. Everybody has a shelter to get out of the rain, get out of the snow, get out of the sleet, and to hide from the wind. It might not be the best looking shelters, but they work. I do keep straw in the shelters, and during the colder times, I add extra straw to help with insulation and help keep them warmer at night. And the last thing that I can do to help them to stay warm is to make sure they have plenty of food and water. I make sure the goats and cows have free range access to hay, and I increase the protein in their feeds. The cows get a 20% protein instead of the regular 14%, and I give them a protein block. The birds get a mix of additional feeds, including corn with their food. Corn and proteins are harder to digest, so it increases the temperature as the body works to digest them, and that helps keep the animal warmer. I feed them extra, so I'm feeding them twice a day right now, and I come out twice a day, at least twice a day, to come break up the water. Usually when I come out to break up the water, they're waiting on me. They're there waiting on me so that they can get a drink. And it's a good thing they are, because as cold as it is, it freezes right back over real quickly. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but it is starting to snow. Good thing I came up here, because this gate's open and these cows are about to get out. They're getting back here trying to hide from the wind, I think. There's that one over there eating on the mineral block, the protein block. While the cows are coming up, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to break up their ice again. Yeah. Well, it's not too bad. It's frozen, but I'm going to have to break it up. But see, all the cows are coming up. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and break up their ice again. It's really starting to snow now. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up, share the video out, and there should be 2 videos come up. Pick one of those and go ahead and watch the next one. It does help the channel out with the analytics a whole lot when you do that.